Hey guys, long time no see. It's been a busy couple of months here, and I just kind of wanted to give you an update on what's going on in my brain. And a couple things have kind of happened that have kind of made it hard for me, I feel like, to create. So I lost Bella, which you've seen in some of her videos. She passed away at the end of March, and I'm sure all of you for mommies and daddies know that when you lose one of your pets who's like your baby, it's hard. So what's been really hard for me with this is that she would literally sit on my lap or sit right next to me when I would create and paint. And so it's like I kind of haven't really been I wasn't really in the zone for painting or creating. And I had to deal with that, which I don't deal with death very well, and I'm sure lots of people don't. But I totally just, I'm not the best with that. I lost my dad when I was a young age, and I went through years of dealing with that. And then I have my own fears regarding death now that I have my own kids. And so anyways, it's been a couple of months of just kind of figuring out what I want to do and move forward and stuff like that. So what did I do to get myself kind of out of this zone of not wanting to create is that I started pushing myself harder, of course I did, on things that I wanted to learn. And one of those was loose watercolor florals. I've always loved how they look. I love just the whole composition of it, and that it's not super strict and outlined, which is usually what I kind of lean towards. I love Adobe Illustrator, so a lot of my illustrations I create on Adobe Illustrator. So loose florals is for me, the complete opposite of that. So I have been scouring the internets and watching other YouTubers and taking some Skillshare classes and really just kind of immersing myself on that. And I've shared a couple of them on my Instagram, but I thought I would share some with you guys and kind of walk you through where am I taking the classes from? What is my way of thinking, how some of this works. And it's helped me learn. I feel like it's pushing me to go out of my creative comfort zone. So I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of lettering right now, but of course I always incorporate it into everything I do. But if you've known me or watched me at all, I am my brain is constantly creating, whether it's beadwork or, DIYing, a bathroom remodel. I'm always doing something creative. So I hope those of you who are here watching are okay with that. But if not, I'm okay with that too. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was I've been putting a ton of stress on myself on trying to find okay, how do you become the YouTuber or whatever? And you know what? I never started this to become the YouTuber. I started it because, and this is what my whole point is, I'm remembering why I started this in the first place. Why am I putting all this stress on myself? And I started this because I wanted to share ways to let others learn how to create without having to spend a fortune, or without getting sucked up into, you need to take all of these, buy all of these supplies or do all of that. My whole goal was to say, hey, if you want to learn how to create this, Crayola lettering or whatever, there's some easier ways to do it. And I'm just sharing what has helped me. So basically what came into my brain was, and I'm talking over with my husband, and I'm I know a lot of people go online and they're like, hey, I'm a YouTuber. I'm going to post every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And their goal is to, just make money and become a social media superstar. Trash can. My goal is to post when I'm feeling inspired. My goal is to create good content that is, apparently not always the same as whatever the algorithms are. So it's like, I can't promise you that I'm going to post every Friday or I'm going to do this. I mean, maybe there's going to be months that I do that because I'm in the zone and I'm feeling good about it and I want to create. But realistically, I'm a mom, I'm an artist, I'm a wife, I am a daughter, I'm a sister. I'm just like you guys. It doesn't make sense for me. It puts too much stress on me too. My God, the anxiety I get from like saying, oh my God, I have to post every day. That is why I slowed down on Instagram. I'm losing followers on Instagram because I don't meet this mystical algorithm that I don't understand. I've never known about that, but I actually stopped posting. I was posting all the time. I've done a video where I told you guys, hey, if you want to grow your Instagram, here are some things that help me. But you know what? Mentally, health-wise, that did not work for me. I'm not going to be able to say, I have to come home and I have to post something. I have to create in 5 minutes. That became not enjoyable. So the route that we're going to take, the path of our journey is going to be, I'm going to start listening to my inner self of what is going to keep me healthy, which is why I started creating in the first place. Share with you guys because you are amazing. If you haven't heard that today, you are. Do listen to your heart. It's not about followers. It's not about, their art is better than my art. It's get it out of your soul and put it out on paper and just heal yourself and keep the energy vibes high. And that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to change up some of this. If I want to do just an unscripted video on figuring out how to do watercolor loose florals, that's the direction that we're going to do. I want to take a minute and thank the people who have come and gone on my Patreon. I feel so bizarre asking people to support me there. It's like, it's just weird. But if you would like to, it's just so hard. But it helps me to try to build this part-time business into a full-time business. I'm excited because next year, all of my littles are going to be in school full-time. So I will be able to dedicate so much more time to creating content, and that is like really exciting for me to be able to share the thoughts and things in my brain to all of you. So I want to thank you guys for supporting me over on Patreon. I want to thank you guys for supporting me here on YouTube and on Instagram. And I read every single one of my emails. If any of you guys have any questions, you can email me at Chelle@thelemonadestore.com. I am a one-man show. That means I do everything. I do the art. I do the videotaping. I do the, editing. So that's why sometimes it takes me a little longer. But I appreciate you. And I want to thank you for sticking around. And so let's get started with some watercolor loose florals today. And I'll kind of walk you through. I created this piece and I want to share this one with you guys because I love it and it's totally up my style. It's black flowers and white flowers on craft paper. So after I finished rambling, sorry about all that, but I just want to keep you guys posted on what's going on. So I am taking some black gouache. It's like a little bit thicker than watercolor, but it's a type of watercolor, and I will link to everything below. And I'm just painting some super loose flowers, and it's kind of like, it looks like it would be easy, but for some reason it's just not for me. So I had this scrap piece of paper and I'm like, I should do black flowers because I do a lot of I love black. It's my favorite. And so you're just kind of trying to loosely create this flower shape. And I took a couple of Skillshare courses, and I will link to those below as well, of Esther. It's Esther Peck, and then I purchased her loose floral books, just to get some ideas and kind of practice. And what I love to do is I literally like will, instead of watching regular television, I either go on Skillshare or Blueprint or go on YouTube, and I just try and see how other people do stuff, because it always sparks inspiration. And at the beginning, you kind of try to do it in their way, but then you morph it into your own style, and that's what makes it fun. So she has so many soothing classes on Skillshare, and and there's other ones on there too. Like if you, even on Instagram, you can see how people are painting florals. So basically you're kind of just trying to get the look of like the roses, or I don't even know what the first flower is. I just was painting that. I'm not sure what that is. But it's fun. So I basically am just working on different ways of trying to see how I can figure out like the composition. And I usually would do it in like threes, like 3 different flowers. I don't know. I like odd numbers. I'm sure there's rules to that, but to me it just looks visually pleasing. And you start off with like more watercolor, and then you dip your brush in water, and then you just see how it'll get looser. So you'll see how the color, and then it just kind of bleeds. So it gives you that more delicate floral pattern. So usually everyone was just doing this on watercolor paper, at least most of the ones that I've seen. But since I had this craft paper, I used the gouache because it's just a little bit thicker. And you could probably do this with acrylic paint too. I feel like the sky's the limit when you're kind of playing around with this. And it's so hard to kind of like stop messing around with it. But I think the key is to kind of stop at some point so that it doesn't look overworked. And what really made this one kind of pop for me was once I was done with the black gouache, I went and grabbed my Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white, and then I added some water to it, and I just started like adding the dots. Now I know that most flowers don't have white centers and black flower petals, but that's what I think is kind of cool about it. So I liked the way the white looked against the black and the craft paper. So then I'm like, oh, I need to add now some filler petals, and that's what I'm kind of doing here. So I do the stems, and then I'm like, okay, how am I going to give that contrast? And I think that's what makes it look really kind of cool, is then start doing different layers. And I'm just learning how to do all this, so I'm not an expert, but like to me, I'm like, okay, if I'm doing a leaf, and some of the Skillshare classes I took will show you how to do different strokes for leaves, but then I also kind of just take the liberty and do my own idea of what I feel like it needs to be like more rugged. So like that one flower, I like that leaf right there. It totally seems like it needs to be more of a rugged flower to me. Whereas my roses, I usually like to make them a pretty cool, like more clean ovally looking thing. So, and you can have so much fun. Like, I've been hiking a lot lately. And looking at the different compositions of flowers. And one of my tips would be is just take some pictures and then come home and then try to create it in a super loose style. So I'm going to go ahead and let this finish playing, and you'll see where I'm going to add some layers. And when you do that, try to make sure you let your paint dry unless you want it to bleed into each other. So the key is to let it dry first and then do the next layer, and that way you don't get kind of a mud. So I try to like honestly, I really don't know what I'm doing here, but that's why I'm showing you guys, so we can kind of like learn something different, and you can see how I'm kind of like figuring out. So I'm a little bit slower, and I'm doing this in real time, but I'm like, okay, so I put some black flowers everywhere, and then I feel like I need to break some of that up. And it's actually kind of hard only using like one color or two colors. And I just fell in love with the white. So now I'm going to start adding some filler colors with white and layering. And that's kind of it. But I think I'm going to create some different things. This has been a lot of fun to learn. So if you haven't watched any of her classes, I'll put links below. And I think if I link to it, if you're not Skillshare, you can get 2 months for like 99 cents or for free. So I'll link it to you guys. So if you want to try it, you can give it a shot. But there's other places you can find too. I'm sure there's other YouTubers and stuff that you can kind of see how they're doing it and practice along. But I really do feel like when I was watching Esther's class that it kind of clicked. So that's why I want to give her props for that, because she has got some really, she's really awesome. So anyways, I'm going to wrap this up here, and I wanted to, again, thank you guys for sticking around, and I'm looking forward to kind of seeing where I'm going to, where some of my creative juices are going to flow. So I will kind of wrap this up here. I'll let it go with some music, and then I have one other thing. If you've made it this far, I'm going to be I'm kind of excited. We're going to be doing some watercolor lettering coming up. I've been working on some new worksheets and a class for you guys as well. So I will talk to you soon, and I'll let this finish playing, and have an awesome day.